Welcome to Spurs Vision TV. Good evening to all you guys in Asia. Of course, good afternoon to all you in Europe and of course the United Kingdom. And of course, good morning to all you guys in the North Americas and especially Canada, right? Big up to Brian Daigle, right? For the first few words I'm going to say is that Bobby has been has been induced and he's on the ventilator now. And our prayers, our hope, and our love all will be going up to him today, right, for his quick recovery, right, to give him a good chance to beat this sickness that he has now. Guys, hold on a moment. Let me bring on some guests while we are doing this. Hi Arthur, hi Kim, hi Mr. K. How are you guys doing?
Hi guys. Not too bad, not too bad. I was really looking forward to today.
So was I. What football?
No, I actually woke up today thinking, game day today. And only just a little while ago I found out, no mate. Look, I even put a comment up saying, hey, hopefully we'll have a match on today. This is Tottenham we're talking about, right?
Nah. But I think it's just not Tottenham, guys. I think it's the whole league, right? We should actually be, you guys over there, we are in Asia, but you guys who are actually hosting and your governments should actually take the step to actually do something about this, right? Yeah. But I don't know, but some of us, like we all say, money rules. So everybody's, more about the money and all that. So let's see how it goes from there. So since we don't have a game to talk about, what should we talk about? The no game?
No game.
The no game
what
is happening.
What we're going to do to get this season back on track, perhaps? We're rapidly running out of time, aren't we? Because we've got the World Cup at the end of next season, halfway through next season. We can't get too close to the start of next season, or else players are going to be playing for just months and months on end. It's beginning to look a real screw-up job, isn't it?
Yeah. But guys, just hold on for a while. Let me bring on one more guest. Hi, Ian.
Hi there, I'm here. Yeah, how are we doing?
Hi, Ian. How are you doing? We're all doing okay. Before we continue, just let me give a shout out to the guys in the chat, right? Ishak, big up to Ishak. Game is postponed again. Yes, we know. And of course, Wayne Bonner, big up Wayne, big support to everyone. On the plus side, another clean sheet. Yep. No games, no goals scored against us. Right, and big up to Guguma. Hi, Guguma. Right. Hi, Guguma. Big up, Guguma. Right, and what Wayne Bonner says one more. What does he say here? At least we have the Liverpool game to look forward to. Yeah. And of course, Guguma saying how they came. Yeah, Guguma.
Hi, Guguma.
Yeah, but guys, for all we know, right? Shouldn't just the EPL say something like, okay, just take a 2-week break or something for the clubs just to sort out the mess that they're in, try to get those who are, get through all the tests, do all the quarantines and, do something like that, right? Before we start. Yes, Ian, go ahead.
Yeah, just bringing everybody up to speed. My phone's flashed up with, I think, from the Athletic that the Premier League has issued a statement, which I think might be helpful, to say that the Premier League board has postponed Leicester City FC's match against Tottenham Hotspur tonight due to an increase in positive COVID-19 cases within Leicester's squad today. In light of the new information, Leicester applied this morning for the fixture to be called off due to an ongoing outbreak within the squad, which has resulted in more players and staff testing positive for COVID-19 today. This has left the club with an insufficient number of players available to fulfill the game. Following consultation with the Premier League and UK Health Security Agency, the club's training ground was closed this morning to help contain the outbreak. The Premier League understands this decision would disappoint and frustrate fans who were due to attend the this evening's game and apologises for the inconvenience and disruption caused at such short notice. Sorry, it's quite a long statement. The board assesses application to postpone on an individual basis, case by case basis, assess the number of factors, ability of club to field a team. Board also consider the wider risk to the opposition and other people the club may come into contact, health and well-being, more frequent taste measures being reintroduced, more frequent testing, wearing face coverings, observing social distancing, and limiting treatment time. There you go. So that's what the Premier League have said today. I think when they were asked days ago to postpone the game and said nothing. Anyway, there you go. Sorry, Eugene, that was just flashed up on my phone as we were talking.
No. It's a good update. But I think it's a week too late, right? They should done this last week. Yeah, a week too late, right? And of course, let me do a shout out to John Fitzpatrick. Big up, John.
Yeah,
right? Yeah, big up, John. Yeah, and the way it's going, right? Like what Wayne Bonner says, we should just postpone all the matches and until after Christmas and start again somewhere in January, right? Right. Just see how it goes there. But I don't know. With how you say that things that are going on now, right? Like we've been chatting in the back room before we started, right? It's just come down to common sense, right? If things are getting bad, we should have a bit of common sense, right? To get through these type of stages of scenarios that we all have.
The FA's got nothing to do with common sense.
Yes, go ahead.
It just annoys me because we all forecast this way back in the summer that this Christmas time in the winter, we were going to see another surge, all right? We didn't know about the Omicron, but we knew there'd be another surge. Omicron just made it worse because it's easier to catch and transmissible. So at the end of the day, they should have had plans made already. What a joke. But it's all about money. Money.
Yeah, and power.
Yeah.
And power.
Yeah.
I was just explaining to my wife, right, how the Malaysian situation was when the incoming backroom prime minister took over, right? The only way that he could hold on to power, right, was to let the COVID cases run wild. So when the COVID cases ran wild, what he did was he invoked emergency orders. So when you invoke emergency orders, Parliament can't sit. So maybe that could be Boris's plan. Right. But I guess it's going to be a very bad plan for him. But I see the way it's going is not only affecting, to tell the truth, it's just not only affecting football. It's affecting society in general. Right. Yeah. Right. When Conte came out in his past few previous press conferences, he did say, you bring the virus back to your family. He keeps pointing out that point that, the virus going back to the family, right? So you don't want to put your family through that kind of scenarios and all that, right? And of course, we do have a member of our Spurs family in that situation and condition at the moment. So, of course, a big up to him, right? All the strength to him. Prayers are out to him, right? Bobby, we love you. Be strong, right? The mind is the strongest tool, right? We know you have a strong mind, so we believe you, right? We believe in you. Okay. So now, even with the Leicester game being postponed, what's going to happen to the Liverpool game? Is it going to get postponed too? So if they keep postponing the games along the way, how are they going to play the games after that? That is my biggest concern. How are they going to play the games after that, right? And oh dear, we have the biggest. We have another special guest here from somewhere in the middle of Europe. Hi, Rez.
Bonjour.
Rez.
Hey.
Je suis speaking avec vous. Prendre dans le français.
Don't swear at me.
You're on the train, right?
I'm in the car, man.
You can see that's a car, man. Come on now. Come on, Eugene. Put your glasses back on.
Oh,
That's a funny train.
okay. You got off the train.
I can't believe it. Is that really true? Is that Rez laughing?
Yes,
It looks happy as well.
I am happy. I'm driving in Europe. I love driving. I love going to Europe, and I'm going to see my friend, and I'm talking to my other friends while I'm doing it. What more could?
Did you go past? Did you go past Ren's?
Yeah, I did. I did. I gave them the finger as I went past.
No.
But there was no one on the streets. There was no one on the streets. Everyone was hiding. No, unfortunately,
Rez?
went in the opposite direction. Yes, Arthur.
Rez,
Yes,
Rez,
mate.
to better that would be for us all to be together with a big glass of red wine and toast Bobby.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. That's the only sour note for me.
Yeah.
Yeah. And of course, Cody says the rest sounds like he's at NASA mission control.
Yeah, unfortunately. Unfortunately, my car makes noise.
Yeah. And
I will mute while I'm not speaking, just to make everything a bit clearer.
Okay, thank you. And of course, big up to Jens, and of course, big up to Sean Hurl, right? Past the season, and of course, Cody Mack. Cody Mack's in the house too. Cody, big up, Cody. Right? You want to join us? But I think Cody should be working now, right? Oh, is it just getting ready for work, Cody? Yeah. And Rez is halfway through France or something like that, right? What we actually wanted you to do, Rez, you should stop by Rennes, right? Pick up a few players and bring them back to Spurs so we can play the Rennes game. All right.
Yeah,
and
I'll be the UEFA taxi service.
UEFA. Now you can build them, right? You can build them. Let me bring on one more guest, a very special friend of ours. Come on. Good morning, Brian.
Hey, Brian.
Good morning, everyone. How are we doing?
Yeah, we're all doing okay, right? And you slept yet, Brian?
So today it's the night. So 2 days ago, Kim knows. I didn't have a good day a couple of days ago. Last night I was asleep by 8:30 and got woken up at 4 a.m. by my cat. So yeah, I have slept. But whilst I've got this opportunity, I just want to say one thing. Now, obviously, everyone is sending their love, thoughts, prayers, everything Bob's way. But I've been saying this on every stream, and I haven't been on a stream with this person since. So I'm going to say it now in front of this person. There is someone on this stream right now that deserves a hell of a lot of credit, respect, love, everything. And it's the woman that is on this stream. Thank God. I mean, I've been here and trying to do everything I can, but this woman is absolutely unbelievable. Like we've only had her like within our community. This woman is quite frankly right up there with Mary Bloody Poppins in what she's bloody doing. She is absolutely incredible, and knowing that she's with him has made everything that I've been feeling and doing that little bit easier, knowing that there's someone that is absolutely world class with him, and she's doing absolutely everything to keep everyone in the loop and doing everything she can. Arthur and Iris supporting her, and Glenn, who've been fantastic. But Kim deserves, and she needs to hear it from me. I've said it to her privately, but I love you dearly, darling, and you are just honestly one of the most incredible women I've ever come into contact with. And I'm probably setting you off emotionally right now, but yeah, it needs to be said that this woman deserves so much credit, love, and respect. It's beyond any comparison.
Yeah. I agree to that.
Well,
Yeah.
Thank you, Brian. I don't deserve that.
Yes, you do. Yes, you bloody
you
well
do.
do.
I can't clap because I might crash, but clap.
Please don't crash.
No.
Yep. And just to let you,
that means the world. Cheers, Brian.
Yeah,
That's right, darling.
Yeah,
You've done an amazing job for us all, Kim, because without you, I don't know how we'd have got any information at all. And I mean, I being on any of these streams to Bobby. It was Bobby that was initially saying, I've got this show, you know, will you please come on, we could do with someone putting a different viewpoint. And since then, you know, I've got this show and one or two others I come on as well, and it's all down to Bobby and him encouraging me and encouraging other people. And I keep looking at my phone, hoping for good news. And now I suppose with Bobby being as ill as he is, you know, as I said on the group chat this morning, no news really is good news.
Well, unfortunately, it's going to be a quieter period in regards to news for a little while now, because I think you've seen the updates, but he's on a ventilator now, so he's on a medically induced coma, and it'll be just the waiting game now. It's up to Bobby now, his own strength to fight this damn illness. I don't know if you saw from my update, but basically the thinking was that he was expending far too much energy fighting to breathe, and that energy could be better served fighting off the illness. So they were going to take that strain away from him with the ventilator. And that's where we're at with it. So it's just a waiting game now, unfortunately. We just pray that he's strong enough to fight his way through it.
Yeah. And
but
just
I just want to say something to Ian. When I'm back in the UK, because obviously when you came on Bob's first show, it was you and me and another guy when you first made it. Yeah. And people keep thinking you and me are like chalk and cheese because our views are different. But as you know, you and me have a very, very good relationship.
No, absolutely.
And when I come back to England, you're coming on Tottenham on tour.
I would love to do that. I think I've got some feedback, and it might be because I had to open an extra stream before because I couldn't get on. I'm going to log all out, and I'm going to come log back in again. So if you just give me a minute, I will be back. But absolutely, Brian. But let me log out and come back in again.
All right.
Guys, I'm going to phone up the hospital and see if I want to find out whether he's been switched, like if he's in a different ward. So because I might have a wasted journey going there if I can't find him. So I'll be back.
Okay, Kim. See you later. Right. And let me just give a few shout outs to the chats. Right.
I'm just switching apps. So if I drop out, I will be back in a second.
All right. And just to let Brian know, Rez is driving somewhere halfway through France.
Yeah, I know he's on his way to, I think, Luxembourg. It's very good that he's gone away when I might need legal advice because I'm coming home, and God knows what I'll be doing. So my lawyer, and first of all, I haven't said hello to him, Mr. K, brother. Listen, I am seeing you this visit. I don't give a monkeys. It's happening. No excuses from both us. We are making this happen. I do not care.
Definitely, Brian. It's a pleasure to see you on here. It's actually a pleasure to be on Eugene's show. I don't normally get an opportunity to actually be in front of the camera on Eugene's show, especially in the afternoon. But I've especially made the time out today. I didn't even tell him. I just popped on. It's a surprise.
Yeah, look at that.
You know what it is? Right now, we've got trying times in and out of the pitch. Our football team is creating an almighty monster at the end of the season in terms of matches that they have to play. There's now a real danger that we will not be able to meet UEFA's requirements for getting the match done before December. They may have to do a special dispensation, but I don't think that's possible because other teams have to play rounds and they can't be held back. Then on top of that, we're seeing people around us on the table moving up the table. That has a psychological negative impact on us as fans and as well as players and so on. You feel like you're fighting uphill all the time. So we've definitely got a lot of trials and tribulations which are currently, on the way. But, that's just part and parcel of being a Spurs fan.
You know what, Mr. K? If the Premier League decide to shut down, if they decide to shut down football again like they've done, that actually might hold more weight with us getting this game replayed with Rennes because they're like, okay, right, all right, Spurs were very, very near the beginning of the pandemic or this part of it, but maybe if it does get called off, that will give us a bit more weight to have this game played. I know Spurs even offered to play it in France and do everything, and they actually originally, from what Conte was saying or from what I was hearing, is they actually tried to get the Leicester game called off this week before this because they wanted to try and get the Rennes game played. So we are actually trying everything we bloody well can do. But we'll see. But you know what? It falls into comparison. And most importantly, Kim's back. Did you get through to the hospital, Hum?
Yes. Unfortunately, visitation is currently banned. It's just happened. Visitation's banned at the moment.
But can you get updates from the number you called or anything?
They couldn't give me any update there. So they said to phone the ward directly, but the ward just do not answer the phone because.
Is it the same ward or a different ward, Kim?
Sorry?
Has he changed wards at all?
No. So I just phoned the proper ICU ward, and they said no, he's still on the ward he was at.
Okay.
On the ventilator, but unfortunately, because it's a COVID ward, and the phone is, believe it or not, outside of the COVID bit, so you have to. It's a long shot that there'll be someone there near the phone. So it's been so awful trying to get any information out of them. So I think my best bet is just to drive down there still and to see if I can ask someone else. I'll have to do that. But
That's true. Yeah. All right. And just let me give a shout out to a few people in the chats. Rosalind Page. All right. Big up to you. Thanks for your support. All right. Chris Agamba. Chris, hi. If you're free, I'll send you the link. And of course, Cody is saying special thanks to Kim and Arthur who have helped Bob in the fight of his life. Thank you, Cody. Thank you so much. Yeah. And rest has just dropped off. Right. The way it's going, I think, how you say, matches, I think the league should be suspended for at least 2 weeks. Do you think so, guys?
Yes.
Yeah. The league should be
The only problem
suspended.
we're going to get is, look, even if we postpone the league for 2 weeks, right, and that will definitely help against COVID. Omicron is very pervasive. It's very quick at spreading. So hopefully, it'll go through very quickly. We'll have to wait like we did with the previous versions. The only problem is going to be when we do come back and they try to schedule all the matches, we're going to end up in a situation where we've got a match every 2-3 days. And right now, we're already starting to see the effects of what will happen when some of our first team members are taken out. There's no one to back them up. There's no one you can say, okay, right, fair enough. We've got 1 or 2 players off. We'll bring them these with 1 or 2 players on. We don't have those 1 or 2 players. The 1 or 2 players that we do have, we're trying to get them out the door in January.
That's true.
I think the youth are going to have to be played at some stage or another. But I don't believe that our youth are strong enough compared to what the Premier League standards are. And maybe in 6 months, maybe a year, they might get stronger. But right now is right now. And it's not. I don't. The way I look at it, I don't think Conte, as much as Conte would like top 4, I don't think he has an expectation in his mind that he's going to achieve it this season. So he doesn't look like the type of guy that's worried about that. He looks like more. He looks more like he's worried about staying in competitions. So, for example, the Conference League, he seems to be quite keen on it. He wants to stay in it, and I think basically, if you think about how we're going to fix our team, how Conte could fix our team, one is he was trying to get rid of that crazy game aspect. The inconsistencies of our game. The up and down yo-yo stuff that we do on a regular basis. The second thing is that he's partly with the first one, he's trying to introduce the style of play and the style of training. And get that uniform. These words are going through my head because they came from Bob Spur, right? That's how I remember these things. Because he used to say all the time about Jose that he did not see a style of play. I'm beginning to see a style of play from Conte. So that's the first thing. The second thing, I believe that, if you look at Conte, he's a serial winner. He wants to win trophies. And he knows for a fact, right, that going for the league is not something he can do this season. So going for top 4 position isn't something that's achievable either. So he's most likely going to concentrate on the FA Cup, the Carabao Cup, the Conference League Cup, and just weeding out the players he doesn't want and training those players that he has some confidence in. And I think that's all we're going to do this season. And it's very difficult to be a Spurs fan if that's what's going on, because we believe in our heart that we always want to win something every season. So, as much as we tell people, as much as he might say, you've got to be patient, I think it's very difficult for us to remain patient.
So what you got to put on this? There's 2 ways I look at this right now. First of all, yes, the players and they go back to it. Their wives can catch it, and then or obviously if they've been around it, then you've got their kids, and their kids go to Scotland. So it just keeps spreading. But the other way you got to look at it is for the fans. Now I'm talking about obviously the home fans, but the away fans. They're travelling the length and breadth of the country. They don't know, do they travel, do they not travel? When they get up there, it's all good. Spurs and all these Premier League teams, they fly by private jet or they go on a luxurious coach or first. They're perhaps it, but there's people that go, do I finish work early? Do I take the day off? Do I buy my train ticket? Because obviously if you buy it earlier, it's cheaper. Do I wait till last minute where it's more expensive? So there's all this aspect for the fans. Now, the way I've likened what's going on right now is, and why I believe there's got to be a break is, sometimes like we had with Son under Mourinho, when we thought we pulled his hamstring and he might not be fit for ages, but then we put him back. And you keep bringing a player back. We were talking about it on Turns from Goal. Darren Anderson, who kept coming back too early and he kept picking up injuries. If we don't stop this, that's all we're doing in the COVID terms. We're literally, okay, we got into green and we're done, and then obviously Omicron comes, and it's like, oh, let's rush it back and let's see how long we can push it until it's too much, and then we'll stop. Or then this next one comes. They need to say, right, stop it. I mean, what I'd like the world to do, preferably when I land back in England, not right now, is say, right, do you know what? Worldwide, 6 months or 5 months, whatever, the world stands still. No one leaves where they are. No one comes in, and we use this time to prepare our country and the people that live in whatever country in the world. We get all their boosters done. Yes, you can still catch it, but we'll have a time where no one is coming in with a different variant where it could mutate and do what it's doing. And that's what I think, unfortunately, as much as a lockdown will kill everyone, or not kill everyone, that's the wrong terminology, will piss everyone off because, yes, we're locked down again and we can't go out. We can't. If this one needs to be done, it's when they say speculate to accumulate with money, it's kind of what we got to do now. We've got to take that stance and say, right, we thought we were getting better as a world, but then this Omicron, and all this is doing is every single time we deal with one variant, another variant's coming. The boosters can't deal with or whatever, and we just need to shut down and say, do you know what? Nothing's coming in, nothing's going out, until we've got a better handle on it in our own countries before we can do it. Yes, every country is going to take a hit financially, but people's lives are at risk and there's no money that can pay for that. So that's how I feel. And then as much as I'm going to be going to a few games, if I need to take it, I mean, I've got to be very careful because obviously I'm going to be spending a lot of time with Kim and Arthur. Now, I don't want to go to a game where I could catch it from someone, not know about it, be around people. And so if they have to call this off, then just do it. But it's just so frustrating that people are travelling on like what happened with Watford yesterday. There should be a thing that by the time the players leave to travel to the ground, the fans know if the game's going ahead or not. Rather than all this last minute on the day nonsense, have a clear. I know obviously with the players it could get worse overnight and but they should be like when you sign a player or a manager, they have to sign by a certain time before they can be in the squad or on the bench. And that's what we need with this now. There needs to be a deadline. If games are going ahead, where 24 hours before anything, game goes ahead or not.
Yeah. But hold on. Arthur, Kim, there's feedback coming from your side. And of course, the rest, you're in the car, there's feedback coming from your side. If you want to speak, just unmute yourself and you guys can speak.
Yeah, I think it's the laptop because there's no noise in the building at all. So it's something to do with the laptop itself. So I do apologise for that.
Yeah. And Res, you wanting to say something just now, Res?
Yeah, the issue with the sort of full lockdown situation is that we're not going to be able to knock out this virus in any way. The thing you got to bear in mind is that this is essentially a virus from a family of viruses that will constantly mutate. Whenever you catch a cold, there's a 50% chance that you've caught a coronavirus because that's what they do. We just came across a particularly virulent version of it. What needs to, if you did do a full lockdown like that, the only way you can actually eradicate the virus completely would be if you locked every single person down for 2 weeks and there would be no movement. Every single person individually isolated, which is impossible. What has to happen is that we basically have to get used to the way that this virus works, as we have done, and adapt to what it might throw up. In all probability, what will happen is that this virus will mutate again and again and again and again until we find a balance, like we have more or less with flu, like we have more or less with cold, like we have with, certain things like measles. We live in relative balance with these viruses. They don't kill too many, and they don't debilitate too many. What is happening right now, I think, is a little bit of overkill on the part of the Premier League, in that they are basically saying, oh, we're going to have to go back to what we were doing before. And it's like, do you? Do you really have to? Whether or not that's the right answer, we don't know. But this, what we saw last year is ending, and the year before. It's not going to be coming back. It's not going to be getting to that point again, right? Because the virus is different this time.
Yeah. But guys, don't you think that responsibility sometimes fall to yourself, right? To wear the mask, to follow the SOPs like hand sanitizers, social distancing, and all that. If people follow that kind of rule and understand that common sense that you have to take, right? It's nothing to do with your human rights or anything. It's just that you don't want to spread the thing around. But the problem now is that a lot of issues has been twisted and turned into, more or less, I think it's for political gain, for power and all that. But how I see it, if everyone just have a little bit of common sense, right? Follow the rules that you have to follow. Like what in Asia we follow is the new normal, right? We do open up the economy. But sometimes, like what Arthur says, that when he goes to the stadium, he doesn't even eat or drink anything there because he doesn't want to take off his mask to take the risk of catching something, right? So I think certain rules have to be put in so the people will at least try to follow it. Being double vaxxed before you go out, like in the restaurants that we have in Malaysia now, is that if you're not double vaxxed, right, you're not even allowed to enter. You see, you're not even allowed to enter the restaurants or go into a shopping center and all that. But I don't know. Every country has got its own kind of rulings and all that. But Brian, you were saying?
Now I completely agree with you. But the problem is, you've got the people that are anti-vaccinations or conspiracy theories that don't do anything, and then you don't know if you can do everything right. But if one of them cross your path, let's say on a bus or whatever, to sit on a seat or a train, and they've got it, you can't even help it. This is where we've come to. What you're saying, Eugene, is absolutely bang on the money. But unfortunately, there are people that, anti-vax or vaccinations. I get the debate why people, it is freedom of speech and everything, or freedom to do that. But then you've got the people that aren't vaccinated, or the conspiracy theories that think it's just, this isn't real, that could have it, and then you come into contact with them, just brushing past them, whatever, and then without even knowing it, you've got it. It's a very, very sad time that we're going through this again, and it just looked like we were getting back to normality, and then here we are again.
So my take on it though is
one of those guys.
Sorry, no, I was just going to I do think that the vaccines can lead to a false sense of security here, because you can still pass it on, you can still catch it with a vaccine.
Yeah.
And someone who is unvaccinated, the vaccine really is just mitigating symptoms for yourself. It doesn't really stop you spreading it to anyone else. So I would caution a little bit there, rather than, I wouldn't quite write people off.
I think, Kim, I know Rez was going to come in, but let me come in first, Rez. I think there are a lot of issues. I mean, first of all, with the football, I think we need a break. I think absolutely we need a break, and I think it's invidious while this is going on that we're expecting people to go to stadia where, ours holds 60,000. Even at Leicester, the start of the King Power, there would have been 30 30,000, 35,000. Arsenal last night, there was a lot of empty spaces, and maybe there's a reason for that people are afraid to go to the stadium. So there might have been 50,000 in the ground. But to put that number of people in stadia and trains, buses, even cars going to matches is absolutely ludicrous. So I think a complete 2-week shutdown, maybe till January, would make a lot of sense. I mean, in terms of, I suppose we're into non-football areas, but some of the countries perhaps with less of a tradition of democracy than, say, the United Kingdom or the United States, have got much more officious measures in place to prevent the spread of the virus. I mean, Spain, for example, you can't go into a pub or restaurant without proof of your vaccination, and they're required to scan it, etc. Now, okay, so we've got that in the stadia, but the only thing is, in Britain, we pay lip service to it. In Spain, for example, you don't follow the rules. You can't prove to the local police who come round that you've done your job. They just close you down like that. But, and this is the big but, is it doesn't seem to be stopping. If you said Britain has got less incidents or more incidents of the infection than say Spain, I don't know that would be the case. France this morning, as I saw, has banned all UK tourists, and I can see other countries doing that. Now, I'm no virologist, but these viruses and what have you have an incredible ability to mutate. So, for example, we have a flu jab that pretty well anyone, I think, can get every year, but you can still get the flu because the flu virus has continued to mutate for however many 100 years. And so I think what Rez says,
the previous season's antibodies, isn't it?
That's right, and it mutates. So just because you've got the vaccine, which is made up of whatever properties it is to prevent or the antibodies from last year, the year before, and what have you, doesn't mean you're necessarily immune from next year's. And I think Rez, I agree with Rez. We are likely to have to live with this in some shape or form for a number of years. I think this idea, we got it in 2020, the end of 2020, it would all be over. We'd all eat bleach, or we'd nuke it, as Trump said, or what was the other? Oh, the cold snap will come and it will just kill it straight away. It's complete and utter nonsense. So we're going to have to find ways of dealing with this. My problem with the anti-vax crowd is that, I mean, as some of my nursing friends will say, they're bed blockers, because if you don't have the vaccine, you are far more likely to become infected and far more likely to be seriously ill, to a point where you'll need hospitalization. And that's preventing other people with other conditions from getting hospital beds. And I suppose that's a political rather than a football point. And I appreciate some people can't have the vaccine, but the sooner we get people vaccinated and boosted, the better, the more chance we've got of, if we can't defeat it, then minimalizing its impact.
I think you've got to be careful. I think everyone's got to be a little bit careful here.
Can I come in here, please? Because I've got to turn off. I've got to turn off in about 5 minutes. Yeah.
All right.
I'm gonna have to take. I'm gonna make my point, and then I've got to start driving.
Back to the hospital. See you later, guys.
The one.
All right, Kim. Bye-bye. Take care.
Good night, Kim.
Keep us updated, Kim. Go ahead, Rez.
The thing I'll say, okay, is this. All right. Vaccination does actually stop the spread. So this idea that if you're vaccinated, you can still catch it and spread it is not 100% accurate. The whole point of the vaccine is that when it alerts oh crap, I'm going to pay. Right, guys, I'm going to have to jump off anyway. All right, I can't make my point because I've got to get to toll booth and I've got to pay. All right.
All right. Okay.
Great to see you all. I will see you when I get back. All right.
Yeah,
All
Rez,
right.
I look
Take
forward to
care,
seeing you, brother.
Have a good drive.
Jeremy.
All right. Have a safe trip.
Take care, guys.
Thanks
Bye-bye.
for giving Ren the middle finger. By the way, listen, guys. I was going to say earlier when Brian was first talking about this, and just what it is that as much as I hear everything that everyone is saying, and you know, we all got to be together, and this particular situation that's currently going on in this country and around the world is bringing people together so that they can, like, you know, together we're going to be able to beat this virus. Now, just be aware that when you talk about something like, especially me, I'm one of those tinfoil hat guys sometimes, right? But especially when you talk about something called anti-vaxxers, right? Yeah, you talk about two different types of people here, right? You've got a government and governments and establishments and organizations that people sometimes do not trust, right? Now, that's over there, just like our football club. Sometimes we don't trust Levy's motives sometimes. But at the same time, you've got science and you've got things happening in the world that are very different and take attention today. So, you know, it's a lot of past legacy stuff that's interfering with us now, where all the lies of certain types of people in government are now catching up and affecting the minds of people that shouldn't be persuaded by that background. They should really get a vaccination and then wear a mask and so on, and help each other to get through this difficult period. Okay, so because lives are getting lost and lives are being damaged, because even if you survive sometimes with COVID, there is some residual damage on parts of your system. But I just think that you cannot mix up anti-vaxxers who have been around and campaigning for years against other types of vaccinations that governments have, backdoored through and got their rich friends to like get approved and make money off it. Right now, COVID is very different from that. Okay, we've got to make the distinction between the two. That some people in the past have a right and a legitimate concern that governments are corrupt sometimes and organizations are corrupt sometimes, but that's not the same as what's currently going on today, where there is a very large epidemic going on, and this thing is
Pandemic.
real. Pandemic, sorry. And companies like Pfizer and so on have made research well before governments, and they've been doing lots of work to help us to get through this particular phase. Now, they just happen to be faces in large pharmaceutical organizations. So we've got to push back. Sometimes the people out there that are anti-vaxxers, they're talking in an old narrative. And the stuff that's currently going on is something that they should, look at and say, hey, man, look, we've got to wear a mask. We've got to take it seriously. Because the stuff that happened last year, that was diabolical. And there's still a residual effect of that, of what happened last year in America as it's spreading around the world. And obviously a year later, it's going to be affecting us here now. So I'm hoping that if anyone's listening to the stream, we're in a dangerous situation with Omicron. Please, regardless of your political views, wear a mask when you go outside, when you go to your local shop, as you come out the house, if you're going to say hello to people as you walk down the street, just get in the habit of wearing one. Make it yourself, make it an entertainment for your family and children. It's got nothing to do with governments and corrupt organizations. This has got to do between yourself and your local community. Help them help you. That's how we're going to get through this together.
Brian, do you
Yes,
have
sir.
Kuva's
Kuva, I'll send you a link now, buddy.
Yep, send Kuva the link. Yep, send Kuva the link. I've been trying to bring Kuva. Brian, bring Kuva into our Tottenham's creators group chat. Then he's easier to reach out to him there.
Okay, let me send him the link first. Then I'll add him. 1 second. Actually, I'll add Dermot in it as well. Then
no, Dermot's there.
Oh, Dermot's there. Okay,
Dermot's already there.
Okay.
Yeah.
Give me a sec. I'll get Kuva. Send the link to Kuva.
Yeah, Arthur. No, that's what I've been trying to say, right? Yeah. What I've been trying to say is that, right, what Mr. K's been saying, it's just common sense, to wear the mask, to use your hand sanitizers, to follow the SOPs, which is now the new normal, if you want to continue with a normal life, right? If you don't do that, then this virus will spread, and this virus will mutate again. Because every time it spreads and it jumps, it mutates, spreads, jumps, and mutate. That's what it does. It's a virus. Go ahead, Arthur.
Let me take you just through a quick scenario. As you all know, I'm a season ticket holder at the Lane. And when I go here, first thing you do at the bottom of the steps is check your ticket, make sure you can go through. You go through, you go up the steps, and then a woman steps out with another little thing, show me your COVID pass. So she checks the pass. Now this is ad hoc. It isn't every day or every game and everyone, but it's ad hoc. and then you go through another one, another gateway. And once you've gone through, what I usually do is I go in the ground with a mask on, and then I go through. Then I have to go through into the ground itself. I've got these barriers, so you flash your pass on that, it lets you through. Then I go straight up to my seat. I don't go for food. I don't go for drink. I don't get mixed up with crowds. The most crowded place is if I have to go to the toilet. So I just avoid people as much as I can. Now that's worked, touch wood, so far. I think all these people that go in and they all get close together and they all go drinking and eating together and they're all over each other, touching each other and cuddling each other and whatever they do, right? This is why this bug is catching on like it is. You know, you've got to try and distance yourself within tight confines. I know it's difficult, but you can't just blow it out the window and say it's not real, and you all hug
But
each
Arthur,
other.
what about the underground?
I don't use it. I don't use it.
Yeah, but there's millions. There's like 7 million people in London, right? Yeah, maybe 7.5 to 8 million now.
Mr. K,
I'm sorry, but that's a lot of people.
Yeah, but I used to
people.
use the underground on a daily basis. Going to work because I worked in London and coming home. Right?
Yeah, but Arthur, they didn't have trains back then.
But guys, hold on. Let me bring on one more guest.
Excuse my chair.
Sorry, Arthur, you got cut off. You were saying.
Yeah, well, I swore then, so you missed that.
No, I'm only ribbing you, Arthur. I'm only ribbing you.
I know. You wait till I get
Hi,
to
Kuba.
you.
How are you? How are you, Kuba?
Hi, Kuba.
What I'm saying is, hi, Kuba. What I'm really saying is this: people can help themselves. There's a lot that do, but there's an awful lot that don't, and they can't be bothered. They go out on the piss all together. They're all over each other, you know, and it's spreading like wildfire. The other day, I've got to say this, it came through, it said Omicron has doubled in size within 24 hours. Doubled. 78,000 infections. People are not listening to what they should be doing. There's your problem.
Arthur, this particular variant of COVID, right? Yeah, the Omicron. The number one feature it has compared to all the others is the way that it transmits. It transmits at a much higher frequency than all the previous ones. Now, You're absolutely right. The common sense approach you're talking about, I think people out there, they've had plenty of time to know about this virus now. And it's about time that they understood that the procedures that they follow are serious and they need to do something about it. Unfortunately, when you come to London, you've got a lot of diverse communities that just, you know, they're disconnected from the council, from the MPs, from the local, you know, from the government and so forth. And they're in a world of their own and they don't listen to nothing. I mean, if I go into my high street right now, I will find that 70% of the people are just not wearing masks at all. 70%. Only 30% are wearing masks in my area. And if I went back just a little bit before Omicron, there was like 99% people not wearing masks. Right? So this is, and they stand in the doorways. You're trying to go to a shop, right? Yeah. And they'll stand in the doorway waiting for you to walk past them. And I'm thinking, geezer, you really don't understand what social distancing is.
That's right.
Is that a culture?
They're not focused.
Is that a cultural thing? Because I can tell you, I know from being in London, the mask wearing is lower, the incidence is lower than it should be. But I mean, I'm just outside Glasgow, and I can tell you that we're at 90% plus of people wearing masks. You know, we really have a lot of compliance, and so I do think it's different nationalities, different cultures.
Well, the thing is, in London, in the southeast, right? Yeah, it's really got to do with the fact that we've got so many people. When you have a smaller community of people and someone does something, then people are able to copy that person. That's what we are, social creatures. We like to copy each other. Okay. The problem in London is that it's so diverse that there is nothing to copy. And the people that you should copy Unfortunately, those people are people that you perceive that you've got nothing to do with, that they don't care about you. Okay? Now, you spend your whole life feeling like that. When an emergency like this comes along, you're not going to listen. You're going to turn around and say, well, you're just making this stuff up, or it's not that bad. It's a bit like a cold or some crap like that. Until it happens to you or it happens to your loved ones around you. Yeah. Right? I mean, there's still people after a year and a half that's still turning around and thinking that this stuff's not real. And it boggles the mind.
It's not really the point I'm making. What I'm trying to get at is, are there
different?
Particularly, are there different groups, even ethnic groups, that are less compliant? Well, you say that.
It's not cultural. It's got to do with economic. Here in the southeast, right? Yeah, you could be an Asian, right? Yeah, that's economically well off, and you're wearing a mask, you're socially distancing, and you could be someone that's economically really at the bottom of the ladder, right? Yeah, and you don't give a twopence. So it's got nothing to do with your culture or your ethnic background. It's got to do with your economic and your lifestyle that you're currently going through. Right? That's what I see.
Well, the thing is, I'm kind of on the inside with this one, and only because, and the only reason I say that is obviously here in Canada, it's been done very, very different. Thankfully, we've done a hell of a lot better job than the US. We've done a lot better job than back home. And to put it into context of how big this country is and how ridiculous this gets, England can fit into Canada over 40 times. Just England can fit into, but England has over 27 million more people. So obviously there's a lot bigger space here, so it's not as easy to, but England is overcrowded. But the thing is, ever since, we've still been, when I came back home, it wasn't mandatory to wear your face mask. Now, I'm double vaccinated, and when I came back to England, that was like being on a paradise island for me. Not having to wear my face mask in a pub, at the football, in a restaurant, on London Underground. Whereas here, since that long, it is still mandatory, that especially here in Toronto, that if you're on public transport, like, if I go out for a walk now by myself, I don't have to have it on. But if I come anywhere near people, it's right, put the face mask on. And it's kind of, we have to do this when we go into the banks, when we go into restaurants, for everything we do, we have to do it. The other day I was coming back from a friend's when we watched the Mura game. And because I'd been on the phone talking on my way to the train station, I actually got on the train without my face mask on, and people were looking at me. I was like, what the and I was like, just when I know, like, what the fuck are people? And then I realised when I went like that, I didn't have my mask on. I was like, oh my God, I'm so sorry. And put it on. I mean, we've gone through a stage, I think, since the first lockdown happened, we haven't come out of you wear a face mask every single way you go. Mandatory. It doesn't matter if you're in a stadium, if you're in a bank, whatever it is, you wear that bloody mask. So when Arthur goes, I completely understand why Arthur's done it all the time. It was such a novelty for me to go into the stadium and not have that. And when I first came, I was like, oh my God, I made sure I had so much paperwork because I didn't have the NHS app, because obviously everything in mine's Canada. I had about 10 pieces of paperwork ready to show people at the ground. Like, I've got my negative 2-day test, I've got my vaccine receipts, I've got everything. But not once did I get asked anything. And I was like, literally, as I walked in, I was like, I got told, like, via the Spurs website, this is what they're going to be doing.
Yeah.
And not once. And I'm not just talking about me. I was sitting in the South Stand with the We Are Tottenham TV boys. Not one person at any point did you walk through had exactly what Arthur said. Now, they said they were going to do that, and they probably did when it opened up. But then after it opens up for a while, they're like, yeah, okay, we're good. They might have done random ones, like they do with the drug tests at football matches. Like, here you go, have you got your documents or whatever? I don't know if they did, but they need, like Arthur said, yes, it's more manpower, and Levy will have to spend. But this, when it comes to these Levy jokes, go aside. Levy, you need to do this. This isn't talking transfers. This is talking the welfare of thousands and thousands of people.
Yeah.
So,
Brian, sorry.
Go on.
I was going to say, I went to the Brentford and Norwich games, and I saw somebody. I didn't get tested going into either or asked for my pass. I saw someone for the going in before me to the Norwich game got asked, but now it's meant to be mandatory. You know, if there was a game at Tottenham tonight with 50,000 people there, everybody is meant to show a pass before they enter the stadium. Policing that is ridiculously difficult.
Yeah.
No.
I mean, they've
Okay,
had this,
guys.
they've had those rules
Okay,
in the
guys.
city for time. You know, like for theatres.
No.
If you want to go watch a theatre production, I went there like 4 weeks ago.
Let's go for a cigarette.
And this is before Omicron came out. And, you know, we had to show a COVID passport. I had to do a COVID test the day before, put it on the NHS app. And then that was the only way I was able to go into watching The Lion King with my children.
Yeah. Yeah,
So-
guys, I give you an example, right? I haven't been doing so many shows on Sundays nowadays because I just started work. I work in a restaurant. The SOP for a restaurant is very simple. Before you're allowed to enter, you're supposed to scan the QR code to say that you are at the restaurant, and you're supposed to show your proof of double vaccination. After that, right, I'm supposed to take the temperature of the customer, right, and spray hand sanitizers on his hands before I allow him into the outlet. That is our SOPs in Asia. So that's what I'm saying. There is a way to open up the economy, but you have to do it smartly, not disregard all the SOPs that are there. You see? So what I'm saying is that we in Asia, we follow, most of the time, we follow what the government tells us to do. But I think this is one of the things that it's not only because what the government is trying to tell you to do, it's just basic common sense. We do know this virus exists. It's not fake, right? People are suffering from it, right? We ourselves have been affected from it. We have a very close friend being in a condition that, you know, that we are all hurting inside, right? But the thing is that there are too many people out there, right? I mean, who don't see that, you see, until it hits them, then only it's already too late. But I don't know. For our culture, we tend to follow the rules and we tend to understand certain situations. We don't go back and say that, oh, it's my human right not to wear a mask. Yes, I know it's your human right not to wear a mask, but come on, it's just common sense. You have a virus out there, don't catch it and don't spread it. That's it. Go ahead, Arthur.
Just to say this, people have got to realise that this virus is very real and it's very deadly. You know, ignoring it can be a death sentence. So I just don't understand people. You know, I thought
it's the history, Arthur. It's the history that's gone behind it as well, because there's been years and years and decades of neglect, right? Yeah, when it comes to certain social, cultural forms that we have on the streets and cities and suburban areas and so forth, right? Yeah, all that neglect, all those years and decades of neglect, right? Yeah, now all of a sudden, when you need to mobilize your people, they're not mobilizing. Well, I'm sorry, but when you see the way our societies are, it's very difficult to get someone to be motivated when they've been ignored and forgotten for so many decades, trodden on, being treated like crap. And then a lot of these people, especially now with Brexit, we've had so many people coming into our country that rushed in because Brexit was coming, right? And these people, they're trying to do what everyone that came to our country has done, which is to make a living, to eke something out from the society. The problem is that they're not clued up as to what's going on around them. Normally, when you came to this country, that like Ian was saying earlier about the cultural and the diversity side of it, when people come to your area or they come from another country, another culture, the people here are meant to introduce them to the customs and the norms, right? The problem is under Labour, right? Yeah, I'm not having a bash at Labour or Conservative Party, but under Tony Blair, there were certain things that were introduced, which is what today we call PC culture, right? And this has led to people turning around and rather than saying, what can I do for my community? They're saying, oh, what's my rights? I want my rights first. I want my entitlements first. Yeah, what can I get? Because they're seeing the people at the top. This is how they act. So the people at the bottom are like this. So after decades of doing this, now that we need everyone to come together, you're gonna see people that are lost. And this is what it is. Honestly, there are some people I see that don't follow these rules, and you can see in their face. You're thinking to yourself, you don't care about me. You don't care about anyone around you. You only care about your tight community and yourself. And we don't know their story, but it builds resentment.
I don't
Right?
know if it's a. Sorry, go on. No, go on. Sorry, I thought you'd finished.
I was going to say that basically, when you have got people like us, that we know people that have passed away, and trust me, I know. I live in East London, and I'm 51. That means that there's bare people I know, and out of those bare people, there's going to be bare parents, mothers, fathers, nephews, nieces that have passed away in the last year and a half because of this. We hurt inside. We genuinely hurt, and on top of that, we're afraid of what's going on around us, to our family members, our friends, and so forth. It's easy to have a level of resentment against people that don't adhere to those community rules. But, I understand why we got here. And rather than pointing the finger at them, we can, to a certain degree, point the finger at them. But at the same time, we need to point the finger the other way, too.
Yeah.
What have we done in the last 20 years to make that government treat those people nicer? We haven't done nothing. We've only been concerned about ourselves. That's the truth of the matter.
I wouldn't want to make it a party political point. I think I've had an issue with this for a while, and I think COVID has illustrated it. People talk about rights. Everybody talks, what about my rights for this, my rights for that? No problem with that. But with every right comes an obligation as well. It's an obligation not only to you, but to your fellow citizens. And this I think issue with the masks and the vax and what have you illustrates it. I've got no problem intellectually, morally, philosophically, or whatever with someone saying, I don't believe in this. I don't believe in that. It's my right. You're not making me have a vaccine. You're not making me wear a mask. That's fine. That's absolutely your right. But in my view, you have an obligation to your society as a whole. And the rest of us are entitled to say, that's fine. You do that. But you are not entering a restaurant. You're not entering a pub. You're not entering a cinema. You're not entering a theatre. You're not entering public transport. Those are the choices you make, and those are the choices we as a society make. Yes, you have your rights, but your obligation, if you're not prepared to have to have the vaccine, your obligation is to stay away from other people where the science suggests that you are far more likely to contract the disease yourself and to infect other people. That's where I get off on this argument.
But those words are going to fall on deaf ears, unfortunately, because the people saying these things to everybody are peoples of authority and people in positions of responsibility. The problem is that we've seen over the last 6 months that those people are the most corrupt people that you can find in this country. Look, trust me, poor people will put on a mask because they don't have a choice. It's those people that are well-to-do who think they got rights. They stand there, even in a place where they're meant to mandatory put a mask on, they'll say, oh, I've got my rights. Why? Because they've got an education to tell them, and they've got a system to back them up with what they're doing. Poor people don't do that. Poor people have got no choice.
But I'd like to come back on that point. I don't think it's anything to do with wealth. But Kuva wants to talk, so I'll shut up.
Yeah, but hold on for a while. Let me say first, Kuva, you and Scott are building up a real good bromance.
we go back weeks.
Go ahead, Kuva. Have a say.
I was just going to say, I think it's a Thomas Jefferson quote, if I'm not mistaken. The price of the price of liberty is eternal vigilance. It's something along those lines, but I've got the words wrong way around. But it basically ties in with that point of we've got to have some level of responsibility ourselves. You can't. The government can only do things so far. You've got to start adhering to these rules. We've got a government at the moment that's so powder puff and wishy-washy that we don't have any sets of rules for people that are incapable of making their own sort of common sense guidance. It's a more complicated thing overall, but there is a lack of solid governance. It just put it in law. People need to behave. We have people at the lower end of, let's be fair to them, a little bit on the stupid side, if you like. These sort of people that go, oh, I'm going to vote for Boris Johnson because mega lies.
Boris Johnson is part of the stupid.
He is, exactly. That's it. You just look at the party atmosphere he's got going on at Downing Street all the time, and he's actually acting the way he looks. So do we have to get to the point where we need people like the Premier League and other large organisations to actually make the rules, because he's not doing it. Do we have to start looking at them to actually call off fixtures and say we need this break in games to for clubs to be able to regroup and areas of the country to sort of put themselves in almost a lockdown to just stop the spread of the infection at the moment? Well, you can't stop it, but at least slow it down, because at the moment there's no better way I can think of spreading infection than getting a large gathering of people together. Get them all mingling and then disperse them back to other parts of the country again. I mean, it's madness. Well, look, we need some sort of form of leadership, and if we're not getting it from the government, I think the Premier League should be doing something.
Well, Kuba, you say that. You look at it now. I remember this. Obviously, I was back here in Canada, but do you remember the Euros final where it was like, okay, we're opening the whole stadium, and there was no face masks. There was no. It was just like, right, we're ramming, and obviously the build up to get into Wembley, that you could see not just for the final, but the thousands. Everyone knows that famous Wembley walk to the stadium. There were just thousands upon thousands upon thousands of people there, and it's got to a point, like you said, there was a spike with that afterwards, and now you can see these spikes are coming. Obviously, we're mainly, obviously, our focus has been obviously Bobby number one, but the main focus of it, which is brought the attention to it, is how these football games are getting called off and what's happening with the players and what's happening. It's just showing that simple. Like, it looks like it originally started the breakout with Brentford with Ivan Toney, because after the Brentford game, we started going down after Norwich, and then Norwich have had issues because they were with, and that's how quick it is. That's how quick this goes. Yes, you play a game of football and you're not next to someone constantly, but just passing them on a pitch. That's how easy it's becoming. And then you multiply that. There's 22 people on the pitch. You times that by thousands to get to the amount of people travelling to get to this game, and who they're passing who aren't going to a game, just on public transport. And we're sitting next to on a bus or a train. Like we have on our buses here and our trains, there's actually things that are put into the seats now. They're kind of on it that say, do not sit here, do not sit here, do not sit here, do not sit here, unless you're travelling with the person. So like if there's two of you, you can sit there because obviously you're with them. But that's on every single mode of public transport here, to say, right, we're trying our bit now. There's people that obviously don't listen to it, but a lot of people are listening to it. But this is how it can transmit so quickly that you just pass someone on a football pitch. Like it's that simple. It's that simple. So they need to do this. They need. So as much as I'm looking forward to coming home and hopefully going to games, I've also got the other aspect of, if I do that, am I putting Kim at risk? Am I putting Arthur at risk? Because obviously I'm going to spend a lot of time with. Am I putting Iris at risk and Glenn at risk? Because this time that I'm coming over, this is no social visit. Yes, I'm going to see people, but literally, I am on complete beck and call. If I'm going to be going somewhere, Kim says I need you. Whatever I'm doing, I can go to meet the Queen. Well, actually, no, Kim is the Queen, so the real Queen can. But literally, anyone says anything like, and Kim says she needs me, I drop everything I'm doing, because that's my thing. But I've got to make sure that I am very, very careful, because I don't want to, especially with Kim hopefully going in to see Bobby when he comes out of the ventilator. I've got to be extremely careful. So if I do plan to go to a game, I will be asking Kim, is that okay? Do you want me to? And if she says no, then as much as I want to go see Spurs, it's a hell no, because I am not risking people that are very, very special to me and people that I'm coming back to see to help. I'm not putting them at risk. I just, as a human being, and my love and respect for Kim, Arthur, Iris, and Glenn, I'm not doing that. Yeah. I'm not doing that.
But Brian, you are showing the responsibility. You get what I'm saying now. But a lot of people don't have that. You get what I'm saying. A lot of people, think about themselves more. And I think
I think they're not afraid enough. I think what Brian is showing internally. He's showing some fear. When COVID first came out, because I've got Graves' disease, I'm susceptible to, like, my immune system's not working properly, right? It works, but it doesn't work properly. So I was one of those people that understood the implications of what COVID could do to me. right? Including the vaccination. So you guys talk about vaccinations all the time, right? Yeah. But to me, right, that's almost like a death sentence if I take it. So I'm listening to you guys. I haven't told you once that, I could be exempt from it. But my point is, right, yeah, is that I got very scared. And for 6 months, right, yeah, I was petrified. Like, when I mean petrified, I wasn't myself, right? And I was jumping at my own shadows. And it took me a year in order finally to get around to seeing my parents, right? And basically, I think that's what it is. People need to have that concern in their heart for one another. They need to have a genuine, good dose of fear. But the thing is, if they don't see the things that we can see, then they're not going to develop that level of empathy with each other and have that fear factor as well. And I think really that needs to be brought home to people. That's why I keep mentioning Ian. That's the only reason why I mention the poverty line, is because the more closer you go to the bottom, the less interested you are in the affairs of everyone else. When you've got to go to work and that work is the only thing that's providing your rent, and you got to get onto a bus because you don't have a choice, it really kind of like, I feel for those type of people. They genuinely scare people all the time, but this is where the situation is right now. But coming back,
you have a choice whether to wear a mask.
Well, you know what? I think they should be freely given out everywhere. We're rich enough as a nation.
That's another story.
We're rich enough as a nation. We have an organizational structure, right? Yeah, that's more than good enough. But everyone's a lazy bandit, and we've all seen it, right? I mean, right now in Newham, and I've got the most densely populated borough in the country.
Mm-hmm.
I've got no police stations except for one, and that's all the way down in Green Street. Right? We're talking a good 2 miles away. We've got no council buildings whatsoever, so there is no presence to interact with the local people, right? Yeah, of any norm whatsoever. And the police, you never see them walking around the street. They'll drive past and with lights on, and they'll leave. So there's a lot of social deprivation going on. But I wanted to really come back towards Spurs because, to a certain degree, we are a Spurs talking point stream. And I'm thinking that if we give them the opportunity,
to a certain point, I think you find it is the major point.
We were
now since we're here, one of the things that we can do as fans, right? Yeah, is while the matches are being postponed and so on, we can look at some of the older matches. We can see with our own eyes some of the great characters, the legends that we have in our club. Watch them again. Watch certain finals again. Now, I know Dermot is doing a lot with Tottenham Tantrum Gold. And Kuva, maybe you can fill people in on what the latest is with that, and maybe what type of the new installments coming out for you guys.
Certainly good. Thanks for the big off as well, Mr. K. Very subtle. Yeah. On Tottenham Tantrum Gold, we are basically worshipping our legends from days gone by. As much footage as we can possibly get hold of. Also working with another streamer, Duck Jive One. We're getting lots of the videos from. And he's got a load.
Duck. I love Duck.
Yeah, he's done
He's my original. He's my original.
Yeah, he's got an awful lot of footage that he's uploaded himself off VHS tapes that he's acquired over the course of time. Spent a lot of money on it as well. So it's an amazing source of old material. But we're on our channel. We're linking in that. We're not playing the original commentary. We're getting us on as fans talking about it in the game. It's kind of got the casual, laid-back feeling of meeting in the pub with your friends, dropping in for a bit of a chat, reminiscing about old times, talking about the players you're seeing on the pitch. I remember that goal, then lead on to another memory from another point. That's the feel we're going for. So while the football's off in the real world, we're having a look back each time. We're going to try and put more and more full matches on. Perhaps have some guests on each time just to talk their way through the games, perhaps people's favourite games from years gone by, have a look at the game, talk about it, how does it apply to today's game, things that have gone wrong, things that are better back in those days, and just worship our history, because that's what the club's all about. Without our history, we're just nothing.
I have to say, and I have to do this now because Kuva's on the air, I have to pick up their channel, because not only is it Dermot and Kuva and Phil that are great guys, but as we know, through lockdown, loads of Spurs channels have popped up. And I think that's with all other football clubs as well. I'm part of that. Bob is part of that. A lot of us are. Mr. K with his show, yourself. But we're all doing our own thing. But what Coover and Phil are doing is something so unique
Yep.
and such a great idea that not one of us thought, oh, do you know what would be? And what they do, even if any of us try to do it, we couldn't match what they're doing. It really is such a great idea, such a great platform, and they're brand new. In the channel stakes, they're relatively new compared to other channels. But what they're doing is absolutely brilliant. And what it's also doing is, obviously, we spoke about with Coover earlier. When you talk about mental health, these channels have come out and been like the antibiotics for a lot of people. And could be like up until about I saw Coover in the chat till about 4 or 5 weeks ago. I hadn't even seen him or been on a stream with him. I just saw him as a guy that commented. He's come on now, and now he's on everywhere you go. Which is that's what happens. It becomes, as Ian will know, it becomes very, very addictive, and you enjoy doing this. Not only is it the addictive thing, it's like there's days where I don't do a stream or whatever, and I'm sitting here with Ilana, and she's talking, and all I want to do is go on the fucking stream. That's all I want to like. You watch something, darling. Have a nice hot bath. Go relax. Just anything, so I can try. That's what it does. But that's on the comedic side.
Brian, I find it really hard now to watch a stream that I'm not on because I want to be in there.
Do you know what it is, Ian? Do you remember when footballers say they hate watching football when they're injured?
Yeah.
That's exactly what this does. But that's on the comedic side. But what it's doing for people's mental health, or just to have some interaction with people because people are indoors or whatever, it's been fantastic. But going back to the original point, everyone, whether you're watching this live now or you are re-watching this later, I urge you to go and subscribe to Tottenham Tantrum Gold because their channel is phenomenal.
What's it called? True. I'll have to write that down, Brian. What's it called?
I'll send you the Ian. I'll send you the link to the channel.
Send me a link.
And then you can see. I'll do it for you right now.
Yeah.
Okay,
hold on, guys.
Just
let me give a big shout out to the guys in the chat. Right, Scott M is here, of course. Derek Hutchinson, big up. Right, Jason Groves. Jason, if you want to join us, the link is in the Tottenham. If you don't have it, let me know. I'll send it again. Right. And of course, Wayne Bonner. Wayne Bonner says something.
Good old Wayne. Love that dude.
Yeah. And of course, Chris Agamba. Right. Yeah. As I said, what Dermot and Coover and Phil came up with actually is a very, very brilliant idea.
Just sent it to you in.
Yeah. So, guys, if you're not joined, please subscribe
Brian.
to TTG. Now we call them TTG. Right. TTG. Right. And of course, give them a big subscribe, big like, and go through their videos. The best one I like was the 1921. Was it?
Let's see. No, you have 1921 FA Cup final.
Yeah. Arthur, sorry to mute you because you're getting a lot of feedback from your side. If you want to say anything, just put up a hand. I'll let you on. All right. All right. Thanks.
You know what? With Coover's channel as well, what I've loved seeing from all the different times is the manner in which goals were celebrated. Like you look back in the 1921s or the 1930s, 50s. It was like a little handshake and back to and even the commentary. I mean, obviously you don't have the commentary on, and they're like, "Oh, good goal, as Greaves scores for Spurs," and that's it. Whereas you look at it today, we were talking about Jurgen Klinsmann when he celebrated a goal that wasn't him, how he used to drop to his knees and be like, seeing those subtle changes, and then you look back and you think about these tackles that went in, like during the Dave Mackay era and everything like that. Yeah. If those tackles were there now, there'd be about 4 people on the pitch because everyone would be sent off.
If you've ever anyone, particularly any younger people here, you want to watch 5-10 minutes highlights of the 1970 FA Cup final replay at Old Trafford between Chelsea and Leeds. There was, I think, one booking. Coover's nodding. Some of you might be a bit younger and not have seen this. Go on YouTube and watch some of those tackles. There was one booking in that match. Now it would have been abandoned because the sides would have had less than 8 players to complete the match. I mean, some of the tackling is absolutely wild.
It made Battle of the Bridge look almost tame.
Oh, that was tame. I mean, that was just handbags, Coover. I mean, that sums it up. Just while I've got the floor, phones flashing. Man United versus Brighton is off on Saturday, so I think we are moving more and more closer to a football shutdown. I think there's going to be a big public opinion.
Brighton's in trouble.
With Coover quoting Thomas Jefferson and some of the other stuff, I can tell everybody that's watching, you can apply to Eugene after the show and you'll be given your Bachelor of Arts in Political and Moral Philosophy. So, not football, just philosophy, just politics and philosophy.
You know, the interesting thing is I did look at Brighton's recent form, and you know they've but they have not won a game in the last 12 games they've played. Yeah. 12 games. Now, you know, at one time or another, this team was right at the top of the table, and now it's like floated all the way to the bottom half. And we are talking about a manager at one stage or another that we were talking about bringing into our club. So it's really sad. Right. Carry on like this.
So no, Mr. K, what I'd say about that, I mean, if you watch the 0-0 that they had with Crystal Palace, which was a great 0-0, they absolutely battered them. But Neil Mopay missed a couple of sitters, and I mean absolute sitters. Now, I'm not saying because he was doing well at Brighton, he comes to Spurs, he'll be brilliant. But there's no denying that he gets a better caliber of player at Spurs. He's got better resources at Spurs. Whether he gets the players, I think Graham Potter could be good at Spurs. When this talk was going on about him when we were before Nuno, I was saying, do you know what? I like what he's doing and I like what he's trying to achieve. But I think when the talk was him to come to Tottenham, I think it was one club too big for him. Like if he'd gone to an Everton next and then come to us, it would have been he would have gone from being a big fish in a small pond to becoming a very, 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 very small fish in a very, 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 very big pond. I believe Graham Potter coming up through the years will get a top job in England, and I think he will be very successful. Not super successful, but I believe in everything he's doing. I just think Tottenham right now would have been too much for him.
I think he's a future England manager. I mean, the guy's got an air about him which is really fantastic. The work he's done abroad has been inspiring and revolutionary, to tell you the truth. When Poch left, you know, there was an inkling in my head thinking that Potter would be quite a good replacement for him. And don't forget, Potter came from a club like Brighton. You know, Chris Newton, he went there. Also, Poch himself came from Southampton, which isn't like one of the medium clubs. It's actually, you know, always at the bottom half of the table and trying to break in. I think he would have been perfect, tell you the truth, instead of Jose. But, you know, that's water under the bridge. We're now at the stage where we've got Conte. And after Conte, who knows? Yeah, I mean, look, he's a very good manager as far as I'm concerned. He does get his team. That's why I said I'm afraid for Brighton because they've had 12 games where they've not won anything. And they're going to...
You know what Mr. K? You know what else as well? Let's be serious. I don't know if everyone in this group is about to answer the question, yes, like I'm about to, or the people in the chat. To be honest, I didn't even know who Graham Potter was till Arsenal got Ostersunds. I had no idea he even lived on the planet. And then obviously he got the Ostersunds job, or he did well there, and it put English clubs on the radar. Oh, there's this manager doing really good with this Swedish small club. And then obviously he came. So he went to Swansea first, didn't he? Swansea played that kind of football. Then obviously he got the Brighton. So he's doing it in the correct stages, I reckon. So I reckon he will. But I mean, were all of you like me that didn't have a clue who he was until Arsenal played Ostersunds?
No,
yeah.
I'm with you.
BBC documentary about him. Not BBC. There was a documentary about him when he was on Ostersunds. That's when I first came across him. And you know the peculiarity about him was that he had actually done a master's in some sort of behavioral studies. So you know it's like if you are going to be dealing with different personalities and you're going to be dealing with communities as well as the fan base, you know that's the type of internal qualities that you want from a manager. The type of qualities we got right now with Conte is we can see a manager that's not going to take crap from the players, and that's as fans, that's what we want. We don't want those people that are rich millionaires, right? Yeah, turning their nose down at our club and just taking loads of money. You know, whatever their personal beef is between themselves and their employer, when they play for our club, they do know they're playing football and they are wearing a badge, and there's thousands of people that are going to adore them, and all they've got to do is put an effort in, put a shift in, and that's all we've ever wanted. You know, regardless of whichever manager we get. That's all as fans we really want. Win, lose or draw, we want our players to make us feel proud. And you know, even Nuno, when he came on, the first message he said was, "We're going to do you proud." So he understood and identified how the fans were feeling. Now, he made a public statement like that. That means that the internal side of the club understand this is one of the things that the fans really, really care about. Success comes later, as far as I'm concerned, trophies and so forth. But right now, we just need a little bit of pride back in our club. And with Conte there, I'm beginning to feel a little bit of pride. I don't know about the rest of you, but I'm definitely feeling it. And in Conte, I trust.
So, guys, just before you start talking, I'm going to have to go because I need to make my way to the airport in about 4 hours. So I've got a few bits I need to do.
Yeah.
I will be off because I need to just get those things sorted out and try and spend. My wife's working, but just try and spend a little bit of time before I say goodbye to my wife again for a few weeks. So obviously I will be on streams when I get home and everything. But obviously the main reason, as everyone knows, is me getting home for Bobby, for Kim, for Arthur and Iris as well, who have been supporting. And Glenn as well, who have been supporting Kim. They all need support, Kim especially. So all I will say is, Bobby, just keep on fighting. And to everyone in the Mr. K, I will see you, and I mean physically see you this time for sure. Ian, always a pleasure, sir. Kuva, love you. Arthur, my man, I will see you very, very, very soon. Very, very soon. I will still be on my Canadian WhatsApp, but I'm going to text Kim my English number. So if you need to call me properly, and Eugene, brother, always an absolute pleasure. I'm not even going to plug my channel. I'm not even going to say Parasite out. All I will say is, Bobby, fight this bastard. And I will see everyone in London.
Two quick things for you, Brian.
Yes.
One,
have a good trip.
Love you, mate. Have a safe flight.
Yeah.
And make sure you're coming back with good news, mate.
Yeah. Well done, Brian.
All right, guys. So I will see you soon.
Now with your missus, mate.
I will do. Believe me, I need to, sir. So yeah, guys, I will love you and leave you, and I will speak to everyone soon.
All right. Take care.
Well done, Brian.
Peace out.
All right.
Safe trip, Brian.
Okay, guys. Anyway, we're coming up to the 1.5 hours mark. So, Spursvasion, usually on Midweek show, we don't go too long, right? Any more things you want to talk about? We can continue to chat in the back room after this, right? But Arthur, go ahead.
Just one quick trip down memory lane. In the middle to late 60s, Spurs were playing Man United, and that famous footballer George Best was playing for the opposition. But we had a wonderful left back called Cyril Knowles. Does anybody recall that name? Now, he was a converted winger. We bought him from Wolves, and he was a converted winger. This guy could tackle like nobody else at the time. These two met, crunch, on the side of the park. They ended up rolling together onto the dirt track, throwing punches at each other. So I'm sitting there watching this going on and rolling in all the dirt track. When the flurry was over, it took about 5 or 6 minutes or more. It turned out the Best had a dig at Cyril Knowles because Knowles had put 6 stitches in Best's friend's leg. That was Mike Summerby from City.
Yep.
They were best friends.
Yeah,
so Best decided he was going to dig Knowles out, and Knowles nearly killed him. It was fantastic to watch, but it was a lovely sideshow from the football. I just thought I'd share that with you.
Yeah.
It's one of us.
That's when we had men playing for us.
Cyril Knowles
one of our
was
most famous songs as well, isn't he? Nice one, Cyril.
Nice one, Cyril.
Nice one, Cyril. Nice one, son. Nice one, Cyril. Let's have another one.
I don't know. I'd have to Google it to find out how many England caps Cyril Knowles won. But he's probably still going back 40 odd, 50 years nearly. The best left back I've seen in a Spurs shirt, better than Houghton, probably the other great one. Cyril Knowles, I wonder just how many England caps he might have won if it hadn't been for the fact he played at the same time as Terry Cooper of Leeds United, who was a wonderful, wonderful footballer.
Oh, he was. He was.
And Cyril Knowles' brother, just for maybe some of the youngsters, Cyril Knowles' brother, Peter, played for Wolverhampton Wanderers and gave up football to become a become a Jehovah's Witness,
Yes,
which
that's
is
right.
not normal. Yeah.
Footballer.
But it was
You were
sad.
Jehovah's
It
Witness.
was sad what happened to Knowles driving
Oh.
along the road when a stone or a brick
Oh.
stuck in twin tyres on a lorry came loose, went straight through the windscreen and killed his son.
I mean,
He was
Oh, dear.
after that.
It was. I remember reading about it, and it was. He gave it had the inquest. He had to give evidence, and he was obviously in tears at the inquest, and it just broke your heart. Anyone who's got children and grandchildren, the idea you're driving along the motorway and a tragedy like that happens, and then of course he died young of a brain hemorrhage. So, he never got much luck in life, although he was a professional footballer. His career and his life could have just been so much better and longer.
Oh yeah.
Mm. Yeah.
And they loved him at the Lane.
Oh, didn't we just?
Yep. And guys, I guess we won't be having a match tonight, and most probably the Sunday game, right? If we do have one, most probably I'll be doing a watch along, but I guess we won't have one. So let's see how it goes. I'll let everyone know along the way how the plan, how everything plans out, right? And at the moment, any last words from you guys before I put you in the back room? Let's start with Arthur.
Well, my last words will be a big wish. I hope we win 4 of the games that we're going to be postponed. And if we do, we'll be right up there fighting in the top 4.
And Kuva?
Yeah, I'll reiterate that as well. The other thing I think everybody needs to bear in mind is we surely haven't seen the last of the postponements. So
No.
I think we're surely going to head for a lockdown of some sort, even if it's just a couple of weeks. So I'd always advising people on the channel at the moment, if you're going to be spending a lot of money on travel, perhaps you want to think twice at the moment, because you can get your ticket price back, but a lot of the travel you can't get that sort of cost back. So have a good think about it before you travel.
Ian?
Yeah, me and my lady are meant to be going to Antigua on the 4th of January for some winter sunshine. I think that's looking less and less likely, but I like the idea of 4 wins from the 4 games. I'm presuming they're bringing back the pools panel then, Arthur. But I mean, seriously, everybody, I think, because of the sort of close-knit nature of the streaming community, everybody knows Bobby is in a real fight for his life. If it's down to Bobby, I wouldn't be on any of these streams if it wasn't for Bobby through Twitter saying, please come on, make a contribution. So I'm pulling for him so much. I'm sure everybody is, and that's the big battle that's got to be won over the next few weeks. And other than that, because it might be we're not on again or much on between now and the end of the year. Happy Christmas to my panelists and to everybody who's watching, and a peaceful, prosperous and healthy 2022 to everybody.
Yeah, that's a good one. Mr. K, would you like to join me in doing the closing today?
Yeah, why not? Seems to be.
Guys?
I think a lot of fans out there were hoping that the match would be played today to have some form of normality, but just hasn't worked out. Instead, we have to be very real about what's currently going on around us, which is more important.
Let me put Arthur in the back room first. Arthur, yes, go ahead.
Before you do, Eugene, I just want to say thanks, guys, for everything. Thank you and everyone else for their support, because believe me, behind the scenes here, it is not a happy household. Okay? We have no Christmas tree or decorations up because we think it's wrong to do so under the circumstances. So it's going to be it's a very low,
somber,
low level. We're not enjoying Christmas at all this year. So, but I hope you all have a great time.
All right, let me put Arthur in the back room first. Hold on, Arthur, Kuva, Ian. So it's just the 2 of us, right? But before we go on, right? Before we go on, I had to give a big shout out to Jamie, right? Jamie, he's in bed now and he's watching. Big up, Jamie. I'll catch up with you the next time. Before we do the closing, Mr. K, just have a big shout out to the guys in the chat: Ricky Villa, Chris Agamba, Gugama, Sean Hurl, right? Jens is Ricky Villa, right? Derek Hutchinson, Cody Mack, right? Cody Mack. Who else do we have? Derek Hutchinson,
Chris
Wayne
Agamba.
Bonner, yep, Chris Agamba,
Jason Groves,
Bonner. Yep, Jason
Cody
Groves,
Mack.
yes. Cody Mack.
Derek Hutchinson, Scott M.
Yep, Scott M.
Oof,
Yep, Scott M.
even Coover was there. And don't forget Sean Hurl.
Yep, Sean Hurl
Big up
too.
Sean
Sean
Hurl.
Hurl too. Yep. Any last words, Mr. K, before I say my last words?
I think the only thing that we can say, what's conclusion that's come out of this stream is that one, we've got to carry on trusting Conte. Right?
Mm-hmm.
That's number one. Number two, look after yourselves and look after one another. This is the time right now when we need to step up. This thing is very real, very, very real. We've had a year plus to get used to it. So now's the time for action. We can't turn around and say we don't know. We've got to take this seriously. Let's help each other. Wear a mask, wash your hands, sanitize yourself. Do what little you can. If you think it's only a little thing, just do it. But other than that, I say, come on, you Spurs. And watch Tantrum Gold and see all the old matches.
Yeah, watch TTG. Watch TTG.
I'm thanking all the audience that are looking right now and in the future. Do like if you can, subscribe if you can, if you haven't already. Share these video streams with other people that that may appreciate or like them. And hopefully put your notification on so you can see the next time that Eugene and Spursuasion is on. And if you want to come along, put your 2 pence in, write in the comments. If you're here now, if you're here in the future, then just write it in the comments below. Eugene and Jamie, they will be responding back to your comments. And create a dialogue. Give us your 2 pence, your views, your opinions, because you never know. We might take them and make the whole show out of them.
Yep, maybe. Usually we do. But guys, usually Jamie's the one who responds in the comments. I don't. I don't have time to do that. Right? I'm watching other things, but Jamie's not here today. But thanks, guys, for your support. I just have one last thing to say. Common sense, right? Look after yourself. Look after each other, right? That's how we're going to get through this, okay? Even though if we do go into a lockdown and all that, for you guys, we are actually opening up our economy back in Asia, but we are following all the SOPs. And if we don't follow the SOPs, right, the government usually gives us a fine, right? A very nice fine, right? But of course, the other thing is that I have to say big up to Kim, right? Who's been actually she's the bridge for us to Bobby at the moment, and all the information coming out from there, right? And of course, our prayers, our hope, our love, right, and everything that we want, right, is for Bobby to get better, right? We miss him, right? We miss the piss off. Right, we missed the R, yeah. Right, Bobby, we love you. Come back soon, guys. Right, come back to us soon. Right, and in that last note, right, leave you out.